are here with the show broadcast. Let's look at this. I am your host, Dr. K. Wayne, my gracious humble host, Minister P.
Good morning, all.
We welcome with good morning, welcome with peace, we welcome with you with whatever name that you would greet one or the other. That will be the reference to good morning. And we say the things that should be said in our community to get our minds and communities back, to get our thought process back, to get our energy back, to get our stance back, to get our, as they call it, Minister P used to hearing that mojo, get that mojo
Mm.
working.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we to get that mojo working, and we start out with our code and our 8 points. Let Minister P back that up with the code of ethics. So one, speak
Uh,
politely. Two, pay fairly for what you buy. Three, return everything you borrow. Four, pay for anything you damage. Five, do not hit or swear at people. Six, do not take liberties with women. Seven, do not damage property or crops of the poor oppressed masses. And eight, if you ever have to take anyone captive, do not ill treat them, as we're seeing so fast. It's happening. Might as well say war that's happening over in the Ukraine and those things that have taken place. But go ahead, Minister P, with your ethics.
yes, the five code of ethics
Code
that
of ethics.
we need to um, exhibit are number one, integrity. That's doing what's right all the time. Unity, number two. Number three, objectivity. Number four, confidentiality. Quit gossiping. And number five, personal growth.
Personal growth. And personal growth can be involved in educating yourself or getting
Dr. K,
educated. Hmm.
Dr. K, before we go any further, um, the five ethical codes, those are the moral principles that govern our personal behavior and conduct. And then you gave your eight. And I always kind of talked about that number, the last one, number eight. I kind of joked about it, I said, you were talking about, well, if there's one person that's being held captive, treat him good and all of that. And I laughed at that. And I said, well, no, that's not going to be me. But listen, there is a sound doctrine to what that one says. It says treat them well, and that goes along with this scripture, and it says in Romans 12 and 18, if possible, as much lieth within you, live peaceably with all men. And Dr. K, you're correct. Even if it's the enemy, you have to treat him well until. So you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, yeah. Until otherwise is chosen, and that otherwise could be the judgment of who is that to actually
Yeah,
be brought forth
exactly.
to judge.
Exactly. That's
And
it.
that's not by the system, ladies and gentlemen, that we are looking into now, because we know sometimes our system that we embarked on today, as we call the justice system in America, as we can see, as many times haven't shown the proper judgment of masses of people. So that judgment could be brought to by a board that could bring judgment on this person that had been placed in captivity, that have maybe have done some ill treatment outside to be the point that they were captive. So yeah, that is correct. You would try to give them best treatment as you possibly can in captive until their judgment that day has come upon them.
That's it.
So, and that goes into our topic today is taking out the garbage.
Uh-oh.
Minister P, I don't know if this was told to you when you were a child by your mother or your father. Take out the garbage. And I
Listen,
know
it was a duty. It was a duty.
right, a duty now. Now you said the key word, a duty that we have to partake on taking out the garbage. Yeah, I know over many a days I had two older sisters, and that was my duty. If I had no other duty, wasn't my duty to make sure the kitchen was clean. Wasn't my duty to make sure that everything was dusted off. Even though that was a chore that I had to do, part of being of my duty, but the first duty that I had to partake in when I was able to do so was taking out the garbage.
Taking out the garbage. Yeah.
And in reference to that title, Minister P, in reference to you, you even say, oh, what does that mean? That goes in every aspect of life, taking out the garbage. We look at our communities. There are aspects of what we perceive to be garbage in our community. Most people look at it, whether it be, and it starts as small as when I was out walking this morning. I'm gonna walk slow through this ministry. We're not gonna rush. We're gonna take our time.
Let's go.
So as I was walking this morning, walking the dogs out, brisk cold, you look around and you say, okay, wintertime is getting ready to pass, right? Where, depending on where your location are, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening or will be listening later on, you have to look at locations. Some locations are better than others, but so you look at the location that I am in, I look around and I see trash, I see garbage. And some people may take their garbage out, but then I look at how they're taking their garbage out. So I go past the alleyway. Some alleys are clean, some alleys are a little rough. So, and that goes into details, reference to paying attention to details, reference to when we go back into our childhood, and whether it was that male, for the most part, who was doing that chore, you were told to take the garbage out. And so we look in our communities, and as the winter passes, we see garbage or trash in the streets. Of course, that could be a number of things. Somebody garbage overflowed, and they got through the winds, and it just carries. But I've seen this in the summertime, where garbage carries throughout the community, or the way people empty their garbage. And then the correlation to that would be that, okay, what type of garbage are you carrying mentally? And what type of garbage is still in your home that is piled up that you continue to collect and not get rid of? So if we start at that little aspect of what we are talking about, taking out the garbage, that goes a long way as reference to what's being allowed in your community. Reference to religion, Minister P. We can talk about that as well. We'll start there first if you want to, and then we can get on the aspect of the political garbage that's in your community, and then we talk as it allows us to talk about this, because we see the evidence of it. There's evidence of what's being dumped in our communities as reference to taking out garbage. If we allow garbage to continue to pile up in our community, the garbage would become innately that, hey, that's supposed to be there. No different than a light post. You'll say, oh, well, yeah, that light post is there to light the street up. So that garbage is there. So yeah, that garbage it's supposed to be there. No, that garbage is not supposed to be there. That goes back into reference to what we started off with, Minister P, that the duty that we had to take out the garbage and make sure it was put in the proper can. I just sling it over the gate and hope and play basketball and hope or field goal and hope that it gets into the garbage can. No, we had to go outside the gate and put the garbage inside the garbage can. Right. So as reference to our community, do we just sling the garbage and let it protrude out into the streets, alleyways, into your yard? Or do we properly place our garbage into the trash and let it be taken away properly? And that goes into details reference to we're talking about our religious aspect of what we're dealing with in our communities. We're talking about politically. I mean, so many things. Even economically, do we allow economic garbage in our community? Those three things that we're going to be really pinpointing, and trying to bring an awareness to how much garbage are we allowing, and then are we, once this garbage piles up, do we tend to start cleaning up and taking it out, or we just
Right.
let it just be and go about our business?
Right. Well, let's first get a comprehensive and working definition of the word garbage so we can have a reference point of what we're talking about for all of our brothers and sisters. First of all, let me greet all of my brothers and sisters, all of our brothers and sisters, our viewers and our friends in the calls. Good morning to you all. So what we want to do is give a comprehensive and working definition of the word garbage. And so this is taken from the Webster's Dictionary. It talks about two forms. One of the forms you talked about earlier, Dr. K, is food, food waste. Garbage is food waste, as from a kitchen. It is refuge. It is worthless matter. It is trash. So when you take the garbage from your food wastes and you clean out the refrigerator and you clean the house and you put that garbage in the refuge in its container, you must take it outside because garbage no longer belongs inside of the home or the house because it starts becoming toxic. And what happens when it becomes toxic? It stinks. Listen, here it is. Check this out. Look, you could be sleeping all night long, and then that morning you go outside the house and come back in. Whoa! What is that? What is that? What is that smell? What is that odor? And so that garbage must be taken out of of the house. Number two, uh, it is it is unwanted and incorrect information. Unwanted and incorrect information. And so that is garbage to the mind. We're dealing with the mind on that level. First, it was physical. Now, there's an element that deals with the mind um, being influenced and affected by trash or unwanted and incorrect information. And we know that our society, Dr. K, has a lot of what is it? False news,
Yeah,
uh,
you got
misinformation.
misinformation, a lot of false news, a lot of misinformation that can be compiled into garbage, and you let this garbage pile up in your mind, and you never clean it out. So then now you become a controlled substance. As Beth said, well, now I'm controlled. I'm only controlled based on how I maneuver on what society is telling me. So all this garbage piled up in your mind, personal garbage, media garbage, any type of garbage that you solidify to be garbage, it's in your mind now. Now it's up to you on how you deal with the garbage and how you differentiate between the two garbage process. It's like, okay, innately, let me think about this logically. Do I continue to listen to this garbage, or I just decipher what's garbage or what's not? You know that we coming across spring, right? It's the
Hmm.
spring cleaning that
Yes.
allows you to start taking out garbage, right? That allows you to start dismissing, discarding of garbage. Now that should be the same thing that goes into your mind. It shouldn't be that you are the same aspect of, hey, no, since I got garbage on my mind or in my mind, that's gonna be garbage that I'll continue to collect. You know, I don't like to put people on the spot, but I'll start with myself on the spot. As reference to, you know, as I was telling, I'm getting some adjustments done on where I'm doing my new placement as far as studio. Um, I had garbage piled up.
Hmm.
And so when I was looking at this garbage, I'm like, this stuff I need to start to discard it because it becomes clutter. And if I can't, if I'm looking to see a vision down the line, and I have to start looking at, I have this vision in my mind. Now I start to start looking at, hey, okay, garbage is here. What garbage needs to go out and be
Right. That's it.
discarded? So I have to relate that to my mind. Like, what is in my mind that is garbage and needs to be discarded? What do I need to remove from my mind as reference to garbage, and how I need to move it out of my life and start making adjustments on what am I doing and how and what am I looking at? So that aspect goes a long way as reference to taking out the garbage. You know, if we talk about politics, Minister P, we've been thrown all this reference, we've been thrown all this process of garbage in our community, and we've dealt with it. We continue to deal with it. When do we take out the garbage? When do we discard the garbage as reference to politics? When do we decipher what is garbage and when do we not allow the garbage?
Here it is. When we start smelling the stink. Listen, like I gave a little illustration. Um, you keep that garbage in your house, and you go to sleep, and you don't take it out. What happens? It it starts stinking. I know this has happened to all of us. We have walked outside the house and came back in, and all of a sudden the garbage is just stinking, and you didn't realize how bad it stunk because you were sleeping that night. You keep those little fried chicken bones and pot roast bones and all that stuff inside that garbage. It just starts stinking the next day. So when we start realizing that things are stinking in our community, that's when we realize it's time to take out the
Yeah,
garbage.
take out the garbage when it stinks. And I know innately you I forgot. Here's that I forgot to take the garbage out.
Ain't no excuse though. You're right.
Yeah, I forgot to take the garbage out. So if you forget to take the garbage out in your home, surely how many times, how many oftentimes do you forget to take the garbage out in your own community? You forget to take the garbage out. You say, look at the garbage that's in our community and that's being allowed in our community. How do we remove the garbage? If it stinks bad enough, then everybody in your community would surely agree to say, hey, this garbage stinks
Yeah.
and it needs to be discarded or removed permanently. We
Yeah.
can't leave it in place and say, well, I'll put a what is those old school clothespin around it.
And ignore it, huh?
Yeah, ignore it, or I'll go get some. Now we use a Febreze to spray to try
Cover up.
to cover up the garbage. You just covering up the smell. The Febreze, that's not going to last forever. At some point, you got to take the garbage. So, Minister, let's go into detail to religion, and I'll let you start off as reference to in your mind. So let me ask you this question, Minister, and I'm
Hmm.
gonna look at you as reference to being quote unquote the expert on this field, since you are Minister P. In the aspect of religion, what would you say would be the aspect of what is considered to be garbage in it?
Well, when it comes to religion, I mean, listen, man. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. So uh, my relationship with God, there is no garbage. There is no garbage there. There is absolutely no garbage there, and so I won't consent on any element being garbage. However, you have some misactors in every level. So is everybody doing what's right all of the time? Well, we have to examine ourselves to see if we are followers of faith at all times. So um, to me, I can't even comment on garbage being in my religion, in my faith, because that's my relationship with God.
So if that be the case, let's say ask it this way, on what would you see in a physical, because that's your faith mentally as reference to you safeguarding your belief mentally, but physically, what do you see out there that would be garbage in the aspect of religion? What do you see physically?
Well, again, I can't use that that word garbage as relating to my faith at all. I know one thing that the church all churches need to come together and aspire higher to uh, build up the community. The church is always the welcoming. The church is here to edify, empower, and encourage the community. And when a church fails to do that, then it has to come up in those areas, you know. And then again, remember, the church is you. Uh, the church building is the place we congregate to, but the church is inside of you. So are you doing your part? Uh, are you participating? Or are you sitting on the sidelines looking in and then talking about the people playing the game? See, there's a difference between you on the court playing the game where you're supposed to be, or you just sitting back criticizing others, that are supposed to be doing that. So when it comes to the church and its responsibility, we all have got to come up higher, higher. That's it.
Yeah, that's well said. Me as not being a part of that aspect, of course, physically, I do see my home, and I would label it personally. I would label some of the garbage, and like you say, I stick to the standards. It should be reference to a higher standard that they all supposed to uphold. As they say, practice what you preach, right?
Yeah.
So if you're preaching that, you should be held to that standard, and you shouldn't. There shouldn't be no aspect, even though in every aspect of life there is something that's you're going to have a mishap. But things of that nature, in reference to God, it's supposed to be, as they would say, Christ-like, right? So that shows
Oh, absolutely.
Christ-like shows the aspect of being perfectness, and showing up no blemish. But we surely know that, and we won't stay on this topic long, but we surely know that that is not the case. In many cases, that there is no that church that has shown to be unblemished. They show their faults, and of course, we all are human. We all seem to, as they say, fall short, but there still is a standard physically to be upheld in reference to what you're doing and showing, especially when it comes to your community. There's always a responsibility that should be at hand. By that would be what they would call the building, the church, even though the church as in itself would be the inside. The temple is inside. In no matter aspect of what religion that you practice, you're practicing this inside. That's reference to your spiritual connection with God, but be considered the higher power. So, as moving on to politics. Your highest, what do you see is reference to what is physically seen in politics that would be considered to be garbage.
Oh, listen, the whole political system to me is garbage, Dr. K. And because we all know there's this old adage: the rich get richer and the poor get poor. Um, listen, no longer can I, at my age, ignore. Um, See, let's go back to this reference. A lot of times we ignore taking out the garbage because either we don't, our mind is not on it, or we're incapable of doing it at that time. We postpone it and put it off. I'm at the level and age in my life where I can no longer ignore. I can no longer put off. I can no longer not see. Because why? Because I have been educated. I've been educated by life itself and circumstances. And then I've been educated by the schooling forces around us, called the educational system. Uh, but the rich get richer and the poor get poor, and it never changes, Dr. K. We look at this. You talked about it on your show last week about the dating game and how uh, uh, Richard Irving, the black um, person running for governor, um, and he said this: "Look, I'm the mayor of Aurora, and he pointed. See that building over there? I took it down and I took it back. I came from the army and I came over here and shooting in our streets, and I said I'll make a change. But listen, have you gotten programs, educational systems to educate, not just I I locked them up in jail. How?
Yeah.
How? I locked them up.
Right. What did that do? Okay, they get
That
out,
didn't
then
help
what?
anybody.
No.
Yeah, that did not help anybody. So my thing is, there is always punitive. There's never thing that promotes education and personal growth. And so this is what I have against the political system that I see now. It's pure garbage.
Yeah, that would be innately what it would be. As we look at things, it's shown at many times it's reared its ugly head, and
And it's
that
ugly.
oh yeah, and it stinks, and it stinks.
It's-
Yeah, so you did the right distance. So this thing stinks, as they say, to high heaven. It
yeah,
stinks.
yeah.
Uh, and at some point, if you smell it and you know that it stinks, because I've heard that before. There's, I've heard an older person, oh, that not in reference to the garbage in the house, but talking about something form of politics. I've heard an older person say, oh, this just stinks. It stinks what they doing. It stinks. That means the garbage is stinking.
Man,
Question,
bad.
question would be, when do you perceive to smell it? And then when do you get to the point where, hey, it needs to be taken out?
Mm.
Taken out.
Hey, Dr. K, listen, this is a good example of just what you're talking about. When to take it out. Okay, listen. Okay, that garbage can sit in that corner. You can ignore it all you want to. You can act like it ain't even there. You can, like you said, you can spray, what is that, Breeze or whatever it is?
Breathe.
Febreze, yeah. You can spray that in there. You can put on cologne and all that stuff, open up the windows. But that garbage is still over there. Listen, look at what's happening to Mannequin. Year after year after year, he's been over there stinking, controlling, putting stuff in his garbage bag, putting them chicken bones in there, roast bones, and they stinking. Guess what? Now they smell him. And now they're taking out the garbage, which is his corrupt political system of control.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
got him.
and sometimes I'm gonna speak. That's why I started with us first, because sometimes we say it, but we a lot of times most people say it, but we don't really innately look into it. We can sometimes be our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
So when we see garbage, we tell them, well, not much I can do about it. Well, when we're talking about politics, right, and the political system that you possibly have voted in, if that be the case, you should have seen and or smelled the garbage, which should have allowed you to say, hey, that something doesn't smell right over there. Something doesn't look right over there. Those
Mm.
two signs of, hey, do I either see it or pay attention to it? For example, we talking about garbage. That's the correlating to, and they had this problem here in the city where it was this, we had a rat infestation of rats. Why? Because people wouldn't properly put their garbage in the right place. Of course, that comes with with a lot of building and maneuvering the earth. So they maneuver one place to another. But at the same time, you got to look at, if your garbage is intact, they won't be festering and running all over the place. Especially if you say, well, I didn't just take the bag, as I've seen personally now. Somebody just take a bag and fling it over the gate, and it just missed, and they didn't even pick it up.
Right.
So that goes into reference to is paying attention to details versus what you see in community and politics. If I chose to go to this voting booth, I surely should have smelled the garbage before I enter the building to say, hey, okay, here's where they're telling me to go vote for. And then why am I going to do it when I know that all in together that a lot of this stuff that I've been hearing doesn't smell right and don't look right? Especially if I was a logical person and I studied now, Mr. B, studied the political candidate and said, well, is he or she the right individual for the job? This I just didn't go off of sound bites like you just mentioned. The gentleman that's running for governor. Oh, I took that building. Oh, and people get excited because he made a sound bite. Okay, what did you do with those people that you took down in that housing project, what that they
Yeah.
call it, or that apartment complex? Did those people come out of there with a better education on how to themselves economically.
And they did.
No, nobody may have come out of that, if any. I took it back. I took it back. What did you take back? That's the question that people should be asking, not like they just heard him say he made it sound like, oh, I took it back. I took it back to do what? You got to be, ladies and gentlemen, we got to be asking questions. In this point, Mr. B, when you come to taking out the garbage, no question is a bad question. No question is a bad question. All questions are to be answered in the best aspect as they can. And if it's a question that be somebody may not know it, that person should be honest enough to say that, hey, ma'am, sir, I don't know, but I can find it. Let me find out. Especially if I'm a political candidate, right? Or even if I'm just me, Dr. K, or Minister B. We said, hey, well, I'm not sure of that question. I don't know, but let me find out and see if I can come up with an answer. And I can get back with you on the question that you asked. But sometimes we go along. That garbage has somebody has dropped the ball, and I'm not saying all of our people, all the diaspora of our community has stopped doing that, but they don't do it properly enough to where they're properly taking out the garbage. People think, oh, well, it's just one way to take out. No, you have to properly take the garbage. And that was the example of the flinging over the fence. Just let the bag hit the ground.
Fit where it may. Because listen, Dr. K, your garbage, understand this, everybody, your garbage affects the community. Your garbage, if not contained, affects the community. Why? Because it can blow into areas where there wasn't garbage before, but now there is. Remember, garbage is misinformation also. But let me say this. I want to make a correction because I don't want to put garbage out there, Dr. K, on your show. I erroneously called that candidate Michael Irving. He is Richard Irving.
Right. That's when
Richard.
I heard it. I said, I think it's Richard.
Yeah,
right.
It's Richard Irving. So I don't want any garbage out there or misinformation out there, because what's being affected is every word that you are listening to on Dr. K's show. Let's look at this with the topic, let's take out the garbage. Taking out the garbage. Every word that you're listening to is a seed going into your mind. And so the mind is, I like to read this definition of the mind. The mind is the human consciousness that originates in the brain, and it manifests, here it is, thoughts, perceptions, feelings, your will, your memory, and your imagination. So every word that you're hearing right now coming out of our mouths on this show is producing a thought, a feeling, a concept, a perception, and rightly so, because we're putting out good information. We're not putting out garbage. And so every word that we say on this show is a seed to help edify, empower, and encourage your mind. And I'm glad that Dr. K has shows like this and other shows like ours that does that for the community. We're putting information and taking out the garbage.
You said it right. And you just cleaned the garbage that you put out. You cleaned it up.
Yeah.
It was just an erroneous error, and you cleaned up your mistake. I said, well, I took the garbage out, but let me clean up the garbage that may have.
So it won't go into other people's yards. Right.
Oh my goodness! I'll tell you, it
correlates. This is real, man.
It's really real. It's really real. I'll give you an example of taking out the garbage. Now, here's a young gentleman. It's in my neighborhood, and I had to address it. And I say, well, if that continues, it becomes of a acronym of something that I should be doing. So this young man comes out the building with a bag of garbage, and he slings it over a fence of a property that was abandoned. So I had looked, and I'm like, I just shook my head. So
Mm.
I did approach him. I said, young man, if you perceive, if somebody else saw you that doesn't look like you or looks like you, in any case, both cases now, don't look like
Right.
you and look like you, they said, well, hey, since he's throwing garbage like that, then that's what I should be doing. Somebody that looks like him. And then somebody that doesn't look like him sees him doing that. They say, well, hey, now I can bring garbage in his community because he doesn't care.
Right.
Because he didn't go and take that garbage to the proper location. So I advised them to say, hey, that's not the proper location of that garbage. Whoever taught you that, they ill-advised you on how to properly take out the garbage. So we have to pay close attention to in reference to how this stuff, simple little things like that. It's the simple things that turn into larger things, that turn
Well,
into bigger aspects of garbage.
you know what you did, Dr. K, in that situation, in that scenario? What you did is what we all should do. You educated that person. You educated him, and you gave him, you provided him with knowledge, and you educated him to provide a more conducive behavior or output. Listen, we all have got to become educators. Oh, I didn't go to school for it. You don't have to. You have lived life long enough, right? Well, then you become an educator, just like you did in that scenario. Now, guess what? That knowledge that you dropped on him, guess what? You can drop it on someone else.
Yeah, or they see his actions. They say, "Well, because I mean, surely people watch. When they watch you, they're watching your body language. They're watching how you move. So if you tend to do stuff that is not of the proper aspect of how you move, then somebody will follow just your body language without even opening up your mouth to say any words, even though words are key and important. But people watch your actions, and it seems that they pay our people. Sometimes our people can. That's why I say we could be our own worst enemy because sometimes we'll pay attention to detail to the wrong things instead of paying attention to detail to the right order of things. We pay attention to the wrong order of things most of the time, and that leads to this gentleman saying, "Well, that's the thing to do. I just throw the garbage," and that's where he saw that, how he picked that up. I don't know where he would have picked that up at
Yeah.
to say that that was the proper way of doing it. Instead of saying, well, no, let me go place this properly where it needs to be instead of just throwing it anywhere. But then that goes right to the economic aspect. When we're talking about taking out the garbage, you look at the Taco Bell, McDonald's, the Burger King. Now, here are all these unhealthy foods, right? And where do you see the most of them piled up at? You look at our community, they 10 times over in our community. The White Castle, even though this place has been there for years, but at the same
Right.
time, our community has become a garbage dumping ground. So we'll just throw the garbage over there. If you say, well, no, how would you say that that's a garbage job? Somebody worked there. Yeah, somebody worked there, but you're getting paid minimal of wages. You're not making the major aspect of what you should be making out there. So these are things that are thrown into community, and whether you like it or not, as far as food, oh, that's a favorite food of mine. Okay, great, that's fine. But at the same time, what are you getting out of that? It's in your community. What is the CRs? They say constructive results that's coming out of that being in your community. What constructive results is it? Is it just you just got somebody who was able to get a job of minimum wage, or your conditions in your community are better because that establishment was put there? You have to look at the condition of your if the condition of your community has benefited from that, then hey, you can shut me up, tell me that I was wrong in saying that. But in the evidence that I've seen, I don't it doesn't show me that my community has benefited from a McDonald's, a Burger King, a Taco Bell, or any of these places like that. It hasn't benefited my community. So to me, that's a part of the garbage reference to the economic aspect and imperatives that we are seeing in our community. and a lot of the drawbacks that we see. We don't, we're looking at because that's part of the marketplace. This food source. That's one of the
But,
food. The
but,
food source is a part of the marketplace.
but that's true. However, we cannot overlook um, the positive aspects of that. I mean, listen, it it is a job. It's the highest paying job. No, it's not. But it is a job that keeps you from being jobless. And so you do until you do better. And that's the saying that I'm promoting. You do until you do better. Just don't do. I'm doing, that's existing. No, you do until you can do better. And so these places do offer because there are some people that work there that are highly appreciative of that job because it's needed at that time until they can do much
Oh,
better.
of course,
But
of course. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt. But it's just the bigger picture of it, just thrown in the community. And then when you start looking around, if you do a census of okay, and then you go elsewhere and try to do a concise of okay, why are more of these in this area than over here? You do a comparison analysis. Say, well, why is that there, and why did they choose it to be there in this community? They couldn't place it over there in that community, and why is it not one in that community at all? you know, so
yeah,
these are things that this is the breakdown of that, not disparaging anyone to go in there, and that's the best that they can do until they can do better. The bigger picture of the analysis of sometimes location for the most part, and where these things are placed in our community, and what can it benefit us if it is there as a whole. How is that going to benefit us as a whole? Because surely somebody can come way across from another community and get a job there and benefit from for themselves, and then it still had no benefit as far as to you and your community. It was just saying, well, hey, that person just had a job in that community, and what were they taught to actually give back in their community? Or are they being taught properly to even care for their community when they go on this job? These are questions that should be formulated. It's all about questions and answers. I have to say somebody should possibly have an answer for you. Just as I said before, if we can't get an answer for you, we'll research it and get an answer shortly. And just as we can get back to you as soon as possible and not keep you waiting. Just reference to say,
right.
well, hey, innately, I'll say first, hey, I don't have that information in front of me right now. So instead of coming up with some fluff garbage just to appease you right there at that point.
Listen, that phraseology was ultimately utilized by uh, uh, my constituents when I was working with the state, and so we would always have public health come in and come in and look at the state of our facility, and so the phraseology that we would all use when a public health inspector came and asked a question, if we did not know the answer to that question, our statement would be this: I don't have that answer, but I can go and get you the answer, and I shall be right back and bring it to you. Never say, I don't know. I don't know why this is happening. But what I want to say, Dr. K, because you brought up an interesting point, is listen, in every phase of our lives, uh, we know we are all in different uh, economic classes and economic stratus. So we must all have a life goal, a life a life plan. So if you are working at a let's go back to this analogy of working at the McDonald's or Burger King. If you're working there, have a plan because you're not going to stay there. So listen, prioritize a life plan uh, economically. Save your money. Uh, have a vision. I advise everybody to make a vision. Write the vision and make it plain so you can see in 3 years where I'm going to be. In 5 years, where will I be? In 7 years, have I reached my goal? And so once we start establishing, brothers and sisters, viewers and friends, we have to establish a life goal. Just don't walk around, I'm existing today. You can't exist. You have to leave a footprint on this earth. And so I know this one person that came from out of town. I mean, from another country. They came in and their goal was, I'm going to start from scratch. I'm renting an apartment. I'm going to buy a house. They stayed in that apartment, Dr. K. They saved their money. They worked hard. They didn't spend it frivolously. And then next thing you know, they moved into a house, a home they're owning now. And so they reach their goal and go. And so that's what we must do as far as being in the Black community. Set our goals and set them high and achieve them.
Have a vision. Have a vision of where you're looking to go. The old cliche of it is I'm having a dream. Surely that dream can turn into a nightmare. But if you have a vision, you can it can guide you away from the nightmare because you see where you're going. You have that vision that you've written down on paper.
Yes.
If you visualize and say, well, I can see where I'm going. I understand where I'm going. I may have a little unbalanced things that happen along the way, but I still have that vision at hand. That vision is still at the top. That goal is there. I got to complete to get to the goal because I got my vision intact on what I'm looking to do. So that goes hand in hand, ladies and gentlemen, as reference to how we need to be perceiving ourselves. Like as I said it before, we can innately be our own worst enemy and forget to take out the trash properly or show somebody that's coming up after us next to how to take the trash properly. We can easily get complacent and comfortable on that process. So we have to be mindful and understand this reference of how we're taking out that garbage, and are we taking out that garbage properly? What is the biggest aspect of taking out that garbage about? How is it? Is there a policy? Is there guidelines? Sure there is policy, and we may not call it that, but there is proper ways to actually take out the garbage when you see it in your community, when you see it in your home. That's the spring cleaning. We call it spring cleaning when it comes to wintertime is over now. I can start to do some spring cleaning.
Well, some aspects of taking out that garbage are just by the 8 codes that you mentioned and the 5 ethical codes that I mentioned, because the ethical codes are the moral principles that govern a person's behavior and conduct. So listen, just following those codes that we gave out earlier, um, your 8 and my 5, that's 13. That in itself would start taking out the garbage in the mind, because remember, uh, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So when you start thinking garbage, guess what comes out? Garbage. And so when you start thinking, taking out the garbage technique, guess what happens? Your behavior changes. You become a more productive and prosperous member of the community. Remember, the 2 pillars of every community, I always say it's education and economy. You say economy and education, but those are the 2 pillars that we have got to become attached to. Educate, educate, educate. And then pull up to the table through economics. Our money matters. Our money matters. Listen, I'm gonna say it again. Our money matters. We as a community, Dr. K, you know this. We have the greatest spending power of any people group. But what do we spend it on?
Right. Spending power. Okay, what kind of power is that? And we don't control anything, right?
Don't control nothing.
they call it power, but what kind of power? Power to go consume something and buy
Yeah.
more of something. That we definitely gonna start that middle speed, the OMM.
What's that?
Our money matters lives.
Yeah. Money matters. Money matters. Money matters. And stop spending it and start understanding the value of money. Money purchases a lot of things. Money purchases uh, power in his legislation. Money purchases a seat at the economic table. Money purchases your community looking better than it was because it brings programs to the kids in the area. Money matters, and we got to stop spending it frivolously and put it to its proper use.
Yeah, that's definitely what we have to do. If our money matters, we have to definitely pay attention to detail in reference to how it's spent, and how we spending it and who we're spending it with. If we're doing things, it's going in and it's having a constructive result of where my money is going, then it makes it to a point to where, okay, hey, I seen where my dollars went, and now I have the power in my hand to control this, that, and third. And so, looking at politics, we could possibly have, we could maneuver with dollars if we do that the right way. It's politics that controls this money. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's money that controls politics. It's not the vote, ladies and gentlemen. You hear that? I'm gonna say it again. It's money that controls politics, not the vote. You can go out and vote, and they can count it, but it's money that's truly going to drive this political person that would be placed in office. It's money that is going to make him or her do what they need to do with reference to, and there's money that is going to change their mind. And for example, while we're talking about the aspect of money, look at the gentleman, Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin is the richest man in Illinois. Now his name has been thrown around recently as reference to him backing some of these gubernatorial candidates, and when nobody knows who he's really behind. But here's a gentleman. Look, he's putting money into their campaign. You notice I didn't use the word vote. He's putting money into their campaign, not a vote. He's putting money, meaning that if they get in office or whoever gets in office, now he has enough money, of course, that he can put behind each candidate. As reference to, well, whoever sticks out more, that's who I'll donate another. If to just say $1 million, I'm gonna put $1 million behind each candidate, but whichever candidate gets out furthest in front, I'll put more money, even more money behind this candidate, so I can do what? Get my marketplace or whatever he's doing in Illinois to surpass what I wanted to do. That goes in reference to details, reference to the economic side. That's why I said the economics coming first, because I'm going to put this money into somebody's pocket.
Well,
and then I can control the education.
Right? Well, Dr. K, let's go right to the source. I mean, the sources says these are the headlines. Ken Griffin gives $20 million to Richard Irving's Illinois gubernatorial bid. He has given that money. That money is there. It's not spread. He gave it to one particular person who he wants there in that place. He didn't give it to any of the other candidates. He gave $20 million to Richard Irving. The billionaire announced Monday that he has donated $20 million to Republican Aurora Mayor Richard Irving's campaign for governor.
Right there, and it shows you right there, ladies and gentlemen. Not saying that the media is putting out garbage, but I would perceive it as to be garbage, even though that possibly is a true statement. But if you look at it, and you break it down, is that just garbage thrown along the way just to make you think that something's going to change for you and I, right here in this state? If we see these gentlemen running for office, it's the question to be asked is, what is the benefit? How are they going to benefit us running in office? What is going to be the outcome? What is going to be the constructive results of their campaign? And then what are we going to get out of that campaign? Because surely somebody is asking on the other side for what they're going to get. At times, they almost not even ask. because it's already placed in position to where, yeah, this group is going to get something. Being in this process that we're in, we always got to understand that, hey, we're in a system, whether we don't see it or not, but it's there. We're in a system that they call white supremacy. And the supreme is that, hey, we control everything. And there's no point in reference to how, people may perceive it as, there's no point in the reference to the appearance of hatred when I make that statement as far as white supremacy. That was in place. If we go to the banks, it doesn't look like you is there. You go to the law structure, somebody that's there that doesn't look like you. When you go to the legal aspect, somebody is there that don't look like you. So you go downtown and looking for a structural place to, if you have that even opportunity to build, somebody is there that doesn't look like you. So that shows you the aspect of the supreme aspect of somebody that's in control over you and giving you the steps on what you should be doing and taking. So do we consider that as to be garbage? Yes, some of it is garbage.
Yeah.
Some of it is garbage because they're not looking in your best interest on how you maneuver in society. They're looking to control. So I'm go ahead, Mr. B.
Well, just quickly, I know our time is running out, but you said the word control, and here's the thing: someone does have to be in control, but when you are in control and then you start subjugating someone else because of their race, and you ask them to acquiesce unto you, then it's wrong. Because if you're the CEO of a business and you're in control, but you have equity on your mind and equality in your mind. So all the people that work for you, they flourish. But if you have in your mind where you want them to subjugate and you castigate them all the time, and you want them to acquiesce unto you, you're not supporting them. You are a dictator and you're controlling. And so that type of control is harmful to any society. And it brings down a nation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's bringing us to our close of today's show. And the show is take out your garbage properly. Start showing others on how to take out the garbage properly. Pay attention to detail on how the garbage is being, if it is flung over a gate and thrown across the ground, somebody should say something. And I know sometimes in different parts of our community, we have a hard time, and that's sad at a certain point, speaking to one another because we looking at the outcome. Well, if I speak to him, then or him or her, they gonna act out widely. No, it's about how you approach this individual. It's all being approach. But especially in today's time, we have to approach our people properly in reference to giving them the tools and the knowledge to better the society that we live in. If they're looking for a better society, everybody has to be approachable to it, where we can create a better society. And that way we won't have to continue to hear mama yell out, boy, take out that garbage.
That's so hurting.
So keep from hearing that yell in the back of our minds, we have to properly take out our garbage and keep the aspect of our energy going on this show as reference to research and to keep us going. I invite you to please be a blessing and a constructive result person and a logical person. I invite you to donate small or little, big. We have our cash app that's across the screen for those who's listening and does not have the opportunity to view us on YouTube, and I believe most people do have the opportunity. Our YouTube channel is KTSE-TV. You can see us and view us previous recordings. And please like and share and subscribe, and if you have any questions, please comment there. The comment sections are open. I've seen some comments on past videos, past broadcasts that we have put up there, and I've actually answered some. People have had some questions on our topics, and most of our topics is based on what is happening in society, and
Right.
and to find solutions and to educate better. That's what this platform is about. It's not about just rambling on and on. We have people that do their research. We have people that will put in the time to put out the end because this takes energy. This is time and energy that's put forth that we do to come forth. We don't do this for entertainment, as you see other YouTubers that or podcasts that are starting. It's a popular thing now. We are out here, and so many other people that I've seen across the board that is doing great things to educate our people. And it's just getting the word out there. If we come popular overnight, great. That means that we're reaching further. We're furthering our word. We're furthering and opening the minds of our people if we become more popular. That's what that's about. Not popular based on getting bigger numbers. Popular based on getting the proper re-education to our people and to anybody, any group of people, for that matter. This education is for other groups of people that want to partake and better their mindset.
For the cause, that's right.
For the cause. So, invite you to donate. This Cash App KTSE Media, as you see there posted on the screen. We are live every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. And if you would like to call in and have questions or thoughts, I did over the screen that you'll see, and for our live listeners, everyone, those who are listening, to call in, it is 621-266-5884, and the password is energy with a capital E 21, and someone will be, as you are brought into the room, you'll be put to a waiting room. And of course, please have your screen name posted so I can call out your name, and you can sit there and have your question and answers in order. I just invite you to, if you could, if we have any call-ins, and we'll have the discussion. You can ask your question. If there is something to be answered, we can try to answer it over there, or even have a statement that you would like to make. That would be great to hear from the listening audience, and we want to hear from you. Definitely want to hear from you on your thoughts. So we definitely invite you to tune in, and that is on the Zoom. That's a Zoom number there. You dial in, and of course you can be heard with dialing into that number on the platform there. But if you want to tune in to us, we are live from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Saturdays, and our platform that appears on Sunday mornings is our dear brother here, Mr. P, with Love at Work Ministries, airing from 8 a.m. live now to 9 a.m. He'll be bringing that spiritual word to our community. So, people, I invite you to get back into your aspect of your mindset. Clear your garbage, whether it be in your home as well as in your mind. That way you can be focused on your vision and your goals, what you need to be adhered to. And that way we can get our communities back in place and properly in these terms that come across the media and in our place here and there, terms like gentrification. We won't have to adhere to those terms if we make it plain, write our vision and see our vision, and stop dreaming. Stop talking about a dream, because again, surely as I see it, the dream can surely turn into a nightmare. Dreams are for Disney World and Disneyland. That's where you go and dream at. But your vision is what you need to have to see yourself through to your goal. Any last words, Minister P?
Yeah, listen, my closing thoughts are this. If possible, as much as life in you, live peaceably with all men.
Ladies and gentlemen, We'll see you same time, same channel next week.
Peace out.
Enjoy your day.